Hello and welcome to How to Empower IT with Immutable Data Vaults. Today's webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech, and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that are going to help you get the most out of this session. Let's talk questions. We want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box there in your webinar control panel. So we won't be able to do a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this one, but we will pass along any questions that you have to the team from Rubrik for follow-up. That Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might be experiencing. A browser refresh will fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work, just let us know in the Q&A and we'll provide further technical assistance. And of course, we love to see where you're logging in from. Just saw one from Richard and gang. Welcome, guys, and welcome to everybody else who's said hello. So, okay, next, handouts. In the handouts section of your webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to a link to learn more about Rubrik. There are also some links labeled ATM, which stands for Actual Tech Media. One of those is the ATM Decisions Group, which is a panel of IT decision makers. You can apply to join that group to participate in some more in-depth events and other opportunities. Also, there's a link to the ATM Event Center, which has our calendar of more upcoming events like this one. So feel free to access those resources now or throughout the presentation and share them with your friends and colleagues. Now, I'm sure you noticed the prize icon there. At the end of this webinar event, we will be awarding a $250 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. Official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can be found in your handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the prize terms and conditions link there. Okay, with that housekeeping out of the way, let's get to today's fantastic session. So it's my pleasure to introduce back to the Actual Tech platform, Actual Tech Media platform, our presenter today, Justin Rees. He's a Senior Product Marketing Manager at Rubrik. Justin, take it away.
Hi, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Justin Rees. I'm a Director of Product Marketing here at Rubrik. So great to be here with all of you. And thanks for joining our webinar today on how to empower IT with immutable data vaults. Okay, so achieving business resilience requires cyber resilience, and that starts with securing your data. And so today we'll talk about the important role immutable data vaults play in a cyber resilience strategy, as well as the critical capabilities they require to empower IT to recover with speed and confidence. And so we'll specifically take a look at the current landscape, talking through the key challenges teams face related to traditional kind of immutable data vaults, before shifting gears and outlining the subsequent capabilities that are required to make them kind of viable, and finally explain how with Rubrik Secure Vault, you can secure data with immutability and air gap and access controls, as well as some of the other additional capabilities it enables to be effective at scale, including automation, speed and performance, and even the underlying architecture that is required to enable the other critical piece to this whole cyber resilience maze, cyber posture. And for those who might want to learn more, I'll mention some additional resources at the end that I think you'll find useful. So pretty packed agenda, as you can see. So let's dive in. All right, so starting from the top, what you see on the screen is a common production environment. You have production systems, backup storage, and copies and restores all over the place. And with cyber attacks on the rise, and with no end in sight, I might add, many have turned to traditional backup and recovery to try and protect their data. And it makes sense, as a place to start, a place to look. And after all, backup and recovery technologies have been a critical component for virtually all organizations. And they've been used for disaster recovery and business compliance for years and years. However, most organizations struggle to get these solutions to actually work. In fact, Rubrik Zero Labs reported that 99% of the organizations in their recent study had an existing backup solution. However, 93% of those same organizations encountered significant problems with their existing solution. Taking it even further, one of the biggest limitations that we hear that organizations face during a cyber attack is actually cited as and ineffective backup and recovery solution. And so this is a huge problem, but actually there's even a bigger problem at play here. And that is, unfortunately, most backup solutions are not up to the task of securing the data. And so a partner of ours called Aon, which is a leading global professional services firm, they reported that 70% of organizations do not store backups offsite, or their backups are not immutable. And that's a huge problem, as cyber criminals are really no amateurs. They know the game, and they actually regularly target backup platforms. In fact, Rubrik Zero Labs found attackers have gone after backups in a whopping 96% of attacks. And worse, they were at least partially successful in 74% of those attempts. And so, simply put, legacy backup solutions that may have once protected data actually struggle to keep up with the modern threats. And even when, taking traditional backup and trying to evolve it into a data vault, because they are two different things, it is often not viable as it requires twice the hardware to get an immutable and scanned copy. Not what you want when you're already left wrangling a complex system. Securing your data is critical, full stop, but it only gets you part of the way there. And one of the reasons for that is that today's admins are now having to manage hundreds or even thousands of instances, jobs, backups, and all of the other ancillary systems that make common tasks and administration possible. Businesses now need to respond faster and analyze more data to remain competitive. And this results in applications needing more specialized environments really to support every use case. And so as a result, a typical company today has everything from physical systems, operating systems, virtual machines, databases, file systems, containers, and so on. And each of these systems can often have their own tools for backup and recovery, along with the different business SLAs. And so dealing with all of this complexity is expensive. It creates silos, really increases the risk that critical data will be left unprotected. And actually, Rubrik Zero Labs found that 40% of organizations have not set compliance policies for their data backups. On top of that, there tends to be no global visibility, making reporting and administration tasks manual and making visibility super difficult. This is a growing problem as demands on a modern, business necessitate an increased focus on the cloud and SaaS. We see the nature of hybrid environments moving towards cloud and SaaS while deprioritizing on-premises architecture growth. And almost all, 98% of organizations surveyed believe they currently have significant data visibility challenges. And to make matters worse, data volumes are growing fast, and that's driven by transaction volumes as well as the business need for richer data. The growth in data collection can be attributed to activities like increasing use of analytics, cloud migration initiatives, and even the proliferation of IoT devices. For example, retailers now track more data about each consumer, I think, which we've all experienced. But at the same time, backup windows have remained the same or have shortened, and that's driven by the need for even higher availability. And so this means backing up more data and making it available for everything from testing and refreshes to operational recoveries. And unfortunately, with legacy systems, can often exceed the desired SLAs. And so 66% of IT and security leaders believe their organization's current data growth is outpacing their ability to secure this data and really manage risk. But we also find that, most of the time organizations are unable to rapidly recover what they need when they need it. For example, recovering specific data in a larger backup. And so legacy tools are often limited to all or nothing recovery methods that take just a lot of time. In fact, it's not uncommon for admins, to not even have access to the backup and are reliant on other teams for access. And this adds operational risks, and it ends up being much slower than desired by the business. And all of these challenges are compounded as you add more types of systems to the environment. And as we've already touched on, and as you already know, not uncommon for an enterprise to have multiple systems running, everything from physical systems, operating systems, virtual machines, databases, file systems, and even containers across on-premises and the cloud. And so together, all of these challenges are having a huge impact on organizations. And we see it in the questions IT teams are asking us. That's going to be questions like, how do I keep all of my data secure and available to recover in the face of cyber threats? How do I maintain a backup and recovery SLA? when data volumes are increasing and backup windows are shrinking. But similarly, how do I rapidly recover only the data I need and make it available to users when they need it? As well as how do I centrally manage the numerous environments across the cloud as well as in the data center? And so this is why at Rubrik, we believe there are a whole new set of requirements that organizations must have in order to protect their data in this modern era. The first is really around Rubrik Secure Vault and this notion of a data vault. And so keeping data secure and available to cyber attacks. And so enterprises need a resilient, kind of integrated platform that delivers air-gapped, mutable, access-controlled backups that can be easily replicated and archived to multiple locations. But like we talked about, having the data available really is only part of the solution. They also need some automated data protection. This is to ensure the data is always protected in a changing environment. Organizations need policy-based automation that can discover, secure, and manage retention of data in a variety of systems they have across the enterprise. And with all of these environments, really in multiple places, these enterprises need unified protection across cloud and on-premises. And that means organizations need a single console to manage data, irrespective of location, variety, or volume, with ease of use and self-service from a single access control platform. And with all that data, these enterprises need faster backup and restores at scale, because all of this data that is now being generated, organizations need smarter and higher performing backup technologies to deal with the larger volumes of data within shorter backup timeframes. And so instantaneous recovery of data at any scale is also a critical requirement. Okay, but what about recovery? After all, what good is backup if you can't recover it? So these enterprises need that ability to recover what they need when they need it. And this is the flexibility to restore specific data or entire workloads en masse. And last but not least, and maybe most importantly, organizations need to be able to understand what they are protecting and have a historical view to be able to provide additional security insights, which we'll talk about in the next couple of slides. And so these requirements are critical. So with all of that said, what is Rubrik's approach? How can Rubrik help? Well, to start, to keep your data readily available, Rubrik was built from the ground up following zero trust principles that assume breach. This includes leveraging an immutable file system, an air gap, and access controls to deliver a data vault that prevents your data from being located, modified, or even deleted from the very first backup. And because Rubrik has the historical time series of your data and captures the metadata, Rubrik is in a unique position to provide further insights such as data threat analytics and data security posture. And so together with this protection and insights, Rubrik is able to deliver complete cyber resilience from a single platform. And all of this protection is delivered through the automated SLAs that are inherited. So Rubrik automatically discovers and protects data by defining the backup frequency, retention, archival, and even replication, all from a single SLA policy. And these SLAs encompass the entire life cycle of your data, not only giving your teams their time back to work on other, differentiated work, but ultimately peace of mind, ensuring your data never goes unprotected wherever it lives. And as you know, with Rubrik Security Cloud, all of this broad protection is unified under a single platform. And so this provides customers with a unique view into all your data, helping drive compliance to meet your business objectives. But also, Rubrik was built for scale and to help customers keep up with the ever-growing volumes. Rubrik leverages innovations like incremental forever backups. And so what that means is each platform, does this a little bit differently. But with Rubrik, whenever we take a backup, the particular system thinks we're taking a full backup or a level kind of zero backup. But right under the covers, we're going to do some additional work to basically only capture the change data and move that across. And then, what we store historically is what you could call a synthetic full. As we take in incremental data, we merge it in the history, and we are basically able to store the backups that you need without all of that data every time. Ultimately, as a result, Rubrik is moving less data, storing less data, and because of our scale architecture, the larger the Rubrik cluster, the faster we can go. The last element of the Rubrik approach for enterprise data protection is recovery. And so this might perhaps be the most important piece. Like we talked about, after all, the whole reason you back up data to begin with is so you can recover it when you need it. So to help you recover what you need when you need it, Rubrik provides a number of flexible recovery options that really put you in the driver's seat. Our recovery options offer really a spectrum of control, where on one end, you have the options that are completely automated. You select the point in time, select recover, and Rubrik will take care of the rest. While on the other end of the spectrum, you have the ability to tell Rubrik where you want to land your data, and you can manage the entire recovery yourself with your own tools. And so the goal is to enable you to exercise your expertise how you want and when you want. Rubrik also provides rapid access to data with recovery innovations like live mount. And so because Rubrik understands the context of what we're backing up, this allows us to understand the appropriate recovery mechanisms, as well as the blast radius of any attack, especially with regards to critical or sensitive data. Unlike traditional recovery, when you recover to the latest point in time, you need to be able to ensure that all the malware is eliminated from the data before you recover. And so to do that, you have to be able to go back in time to understand where the malware originated and thus eliminate it before restoring to protection. And of course, because Rubrik is API-led, you have the ability to automate recovery with your own scripts. And like we talked about architecture, it's not enough to just protect your data. You have to be able to understand what you're protecting, have an historical view of how it's changed. And so Rubrik, with our time series data and metadata, we're able to provide data threat analytics and data security posture natively within the platform. We're able to understand things like, what data do we have? Where is it located? How is it changed? Who's accessing it? What are they doing with it? And all of these insights are only possible because of the purpose-built architecture that was made from the ground up. Okay, so to start wrapping up, I know we covered a lot of ground, but just to recap, as you probably have already experienced yourself, protecting data is no easy feat. And with today's current landscape, it's only getting harder. But the good news is that with Rubrik Secure Vault and Rubrik Data Protection, through our zero trust design that assumes breach, that global policy-driven automation, an incremental approach to backups, unified management, and flexible recovery and live mount, you can keep all your data safe and readily available so you can always recover only what you need when you need it. And so Rubrik has a lot of experience with data protection. Rubrik as a company was founded in 2014. And in that short amount of time, Rubrik has delivered purpose-built protection for everything from Microsoft SQL Server and Oracle databases to Entra ID and Amazon S3. And we see the trust and belief in these solutions with the momentum. I'm proud to share that Rubrik is protecting data for more than 6,000 customers and has a net promoter score of greater than 84 and a customer satisfaction score of 98%. And we deliver that protection all from a single data security platform. And that's going to be customers big and small across industries, across the globe. They all trust Rubrik to protect their data. It's customers like Carhartt, Home Depot, PepsiCo, and even St. Luke's. Okay, on to the resources. So as we start to close things out, I wanted to share just a couple of resources that I thought you would find interesting or helpful. The first is our report, The State of Data Security, Measuring Your Data's Risk. I mentioned this report throughout the presentation, a ton of valuable information that I think you'll find interesting. But next, for those of you who want to get a little bit deeper and maybe even get hands-on, I would highly recommend taking a look at Rubrik Explore, which is a collection of self-guided product tours. No need to talk to anybody from the Rubrik team if you don't like. It's all self-paced. And there's a tour there on Rubrik Security Cloud, and that tour will guide you through the Rubrik Security Cloud UI, things like the navigation and data protection dashboards. It will also take you through the global SLA domains, that we spoke about, actually giving you a chance to create your own SLAs and even apply them. And it also takes you through some of those zero trust capabilities we spoke about, including role-based access control and multi-factor authentication. So really a great way to get started with Rubrik and to learn more. But in addition to these resources, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to Rubrik if you wanted to learn more. We would be more than happy to get in touch and share how customers are protecting large environments with Rubrik. Our teams can even provide a personalized walkthrough if that's something that would be interesting. And just to go a little bit deeper, there are a bunch of other tours there as well. roughly 25 in total, covering everything from DB2 and Microsoft SQL to M365 and some SaaS protection. So definitely check it out. There's something there for everyone. And lastly, before we go, just wanted to mention that Rubrik just concluded our annual user conference, Rubrik Forward. And so if you missed it, still an opportunity to watch many of the sessions, including the keynote from our CEO, that included many other product leaders from across the company, touching on what we have planned for the future. And with that, just a big thank you to all of you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. I'll pass it back to the host to close us out. Thanks again.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Justin. Really informative presentation there. Appreciate your time. And for those of you who ask questions, we'll make sure that Justin and the Rubrik team get those questions so they can follow up with you. And a quick reminder, this is your last chance to grab those resources before we close the event in a minute. And before we wrap that up, we do have one more piece of business, and that's the Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of the $250 Amazon gift card is Tracy Schmidt from Minnesota. So congratulations to Tracy Schmidt. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending. That concludes today's event. Have a great rest of your day.